there's been a lot of shifts in the people that are in the CDO roles. In other words, many people have left those positions and other people have come into the positions. But one of the biggest things that organizations are insisting upon now is they want to see demonstrated measurable business value from their data and analytics investments.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Data Strategy Unravelled. I'm your host, Khendr'a Reid, Principal Data Strategy Technical Specialist here at AWS. And today we have a very special episode for you all. I have Randy Bean here, who is a data and analytics renowned specialist in this community. And we're looking to get some insights from him today. Hey, Randy, how you doing?
I'm good, Khendr'a. How are you? Nice to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. Great to see you as well. Thanks so much for joining. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I've spent a generation in the data space. I started my career with a major bank, working with data and analytics on the technology side, moved on to the business side of the business. In 2001, I started a company, New Vantage Partners, that were advisors on data and analytics to Fortune 1000 companies. During the big data era, I started writing a lot. So for 2 years, I wrote a monthly column in the Wall Street Journal. Subsequently, I've continued that with Forbes. I write about 3 pieces a year for Harvard Business Review, 6 pieces a year for MIT Sloan Management Review, a series AI in Action in conjunction with Tom Davenport. During COVID, I put all my experiences into a book, Fail Fast, Learn Faster, Lessons in Data-Driven Leadership in an Age of Disruption, Big Data, and AI. And in 2021, I sold my company to a Paris-based global consultancy, Wavestone, and I'm affiliated there as an Innovation Fellow for Data Strategy. I'm pleased to be.
Wow. Well, thanks so much again for taking the time to meet with us today. And so we really have you here to discuss some findings in a recent CDO survey that you mentioned Tom Davenport, that you all came together and did in partnership with AWS. And we'll have Tom on our next episode following yours. But how about you give us a little background about what that survey was that you completed there?
Yeah, I'd say a few things. I've been involved with the MIT CDOIQ symposium for about a dozen years. This year was its 17th year. And it brings together CDOs across a range of industries. I've been organizing a keynote panel there for the past 9 years, and then did one again this summer with CDOs from Colgate, Palmolive, Levi's, Visa, Universal Music, and Sanofi. And so one of the things that we undertook this year, we also did one last year, was a survey of the CDO participants. So this year we surveyed 335 CDOs or equivalents. And we also did in-depth interviews with 12 leading CDOs, and the results of that is what we published. I guess it will be released shortly, and it's called CDO Agenda 2024, Navigating Data and Generative AI Frontiers.
Yeah. Okay. And for those that may not know, CDO stands for Chief Data Officer, or also could be Chief Data and Analytics Officer. So I saw some of those results from that survey, and we won't dive too much here. And as Tom mentioned, we'll put the link in the description below where you can go and view that survey. But, we did want to discuss some highlights here. Given the results that you saw in that, what is your view of the current business value of data and data management when it comes to these CDOs and how they're viewing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. This is an interesting year because of economic uncertainty. There's been greater scrutiny of chief data officers than at any point in the 12 to 15 years since the role was first established. And as a consequence, there's been a lot of shifts in the people that are in the CDO roles. In other words, many people have left those positions and other people have come into the positions. But one of the biggest things that organizations are insisting upon now is they want to see demonstrated measurable business value from their data and analytics investments. In other words, many organizations are saying, unless we can see that value, why are we making these investments? So it was interesting in the survey because one of the findings of the survey was that the largest number of CDOs, 44%, define their success as creating business value for the organization. But I would actually argue it should be 100%.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and that's something that we see a lot of times with the customers we work with. Like they want to actually demonstrate that value, right? To actually show the worth of the data that they have. And also looking at some of these results, we see that these CDOs have different priorities when it comes to their organization. What would you say, as a CDO should be their key priority or their role within an organization?
Yeah, it's there's some data in here about I believe it's 80 or 90% of the CDOs now support the business primarily, and it's viewed as a business role as opposed to a technical role. And there's some great quotes from some of the CDO participants. For example, Diana Schildhouse, the Chief Data Analytics and Insights Officer for Colgate-Palmolive, who was on my CDO panel, she points out that we are use case driven. Our highest priorities are revenue growth management and media effectiveness. So, for example, it's not enough to build a data environment. It's not enough to do data engineering. You really need to be tied to business outcomes when the day is done. Naris Ichenbody, who's the Chief Global Data and Analytics Officer at Universal Music and was also on the panel that I did, said the real value add is making other people successful. You have to make the other person successful so they achieve their numbers. So again, very metrics driven. And what can you do for the organization to show that data is a critical asset in delivering measurable business value?
Right, right. And this ties very nicely back to our very first episode for those viewers that may not have seen that when we defined what is a modern data strategy. And we talked about bringing business and IT together and actually generating that value there when it comes to data. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go back and check out that episode there. And looking at the survey as well, Randy, we also saw that a lot of these CDOs are starting to think about generative AI and how they can leverage it, but not many are starting to move on it just yet. How would you say that the role of a CDO is going to change as this technology continues to grow?
Yeah, that's something that's to be seen, okay, because we're right in the generative AI moment. And that's one of the reasons why we titled this year's survey, Navigating Data and Generative AI Frontiers, because generative AI has the potential to significantly increase productivity and significantly change the way that CDOs and other data leaders can bring value to the organization from data. There's some, again, there's some good quotes from the survey. In terms of expectations, Naris Ichenbody, who I mentioned, said, I expect that it will gather steam slowly and there'll eventually be some kind of tipping point. There was results that showed most of the CDOs, when they're looking at generative AI, are focused on how it can improve customer experience, customer inquiries, activities of that kind. Diana Schildhouse, who I mentioned, noted, we are using generative AI for synthesizing consumer and shopper insights and other marketing use cases. And Joanne Stonier, who's the chief data officer for MasterCard and is now the fellow for data and AI at MasterCard, made a good point in noting that we've engaged lawyers, HR professionals, engineers, and system and data architects in creating our approach to generative AI. So it really is a team effort.
Yeah, that's a key point, that it is a team effort and how this technology is going to be used. Thanks so much, Randy, for joining us today and giving us a preview to that survey. For our viewers, you can find the link to the survey in the description below, as well as all of our other data strategy Unravelled videos, and also be looking out for the next video where we talk with Tom about his thoughts on this survey as well. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Thanks again, Randy, and see you all soon.
Thank you, Khendr'a. It's a pleasure.